Hey, how you doing, Professor? This is Anthony. Just wanted to try something a little different. You can ignore my Pittsburgh Steelers gear and Pirates gear. Hopefully, you're a fan, but if not, it's all right. We welcome all bandwagons, so come on over. But anyway, I just wanted to touch base. I wanted to try something a little different. Uh, I finally got the house to myself for a little while. My kids and my wife are out of town, so I figured this would be a good time to maybe with some peace and quiet, try something a little different as far as for the digital storytelling assignment. Um, Wanted to just go through and kind of explain how my year went. Overall, it's been pretty good. I'm glad it's kind of winding down. Um, but the class in itself has been great. I've learned a lot. Um, I teach special education ED resource. So a lot of the stuff that I'm done this semester has been new and different. So it's forced me to kind of put myself in situations in which have kind of made me uncomfortable, but at the same time, it was a good thing to do as far as moving forward in the future. So I just wanted to say I appreciate, the assignments that you put in place and, the feedback that you've given. It's been great. I know I started the year with our methods. I'm sorry, I'm trying to go along. The methods papers, I focus more on uh, the cooperative learning and the UDL. I feel like these both kind of fit what I do, especially the cooperative learning, being that is a strategy in which I kind of use on a regular basis with my kids, even though we're, strictly for the most part, ED and SLD, OHI, I kind of use cooperative learning within my resource classes, whether it's in small groups, in small group instruction, um, because every kid's different. All those kids are different. They have different disabilities and different strengths and weaknesses. But when it comes to the cooperative learning, that notion of that small group has really been helpful overall. Even in the excuse me, even in the elementary thematic unit lesson plans, I think I go into mentioning that how cooperative learning was, put in place, in hopes of, giving those students the best chance for success. But again, it has been good for me, especially focusing on the math sections. Being that like I said, that's not what I teach. That's not my field. So again, that's completely different spectrum of what I do. So again, that you gave me some good feedback. I know my grade, I got a decent grade on it, but it wasn't. I know you mentioned made some comments, and you were lenient on that, and which I'm very grateful. But I appreciate that, and I try to do a much better job on the secondary unit plan, as far as being more detailed, including more of what actually need to be in the unit plan. Going on to the reflection, the CBM reflection and self-reflection for elementary. Pull that up. I'm trying to follow along as I speak. I think I did a good job on that. I included a lot of the research that actually I did last semester in another class. R.M. Gillies had a lot of good points on cooperative learning and the effects of cooperative learning on more so on junior high school students for small group. His specific purpose was to investigate the effectiveness of small groups on how being able to interact and collaborate with one another within that group could be beneficial. And again, that's one thing I try to focus on, and which I try to focus on in my criteria and in my field is I'm a big fan of small groups and the benefits that it can bring to students. Let's see. Let's move forward. I want to go back to some of the comments. Let's see on my elementary plan. You had mentioned that you wanted to see more explanation regarding activities and a couple more electronic copies. I tried to include those in the new one in the secondary plan. But again, for me, it was overall, the semester in this class was a learning process, and At the beginning, I kind of felt I would be behind the curve, but I think I kind of kept up and did everything that was asked. Put forth a lot of effort, spent a lot of time. But again, I felt automatically from the beginning that I knew this semester would be, very tough as far as not only from a time aspect, because again, I have children, I'm married, I coach, do all that stuff. So I would have had the hardest part is just finding that time to dive into these assignments and be able to do the research and spend time and put forth that effort towards those students that need that time. So from that aspect, yes, the beginning, I knew I was, in a position where it was going to be difficult. But again, I appreciate your feedback, on giving back on these assignments and what it is that I could have done better and what it is that I needed to do. So, moving on to the secondary thematic unit lesson plans. I felt like I don't see it hadn't been graded yet, but I do felt like I did a much better job of following the criteria and doing exactly what was asked for. And again, I thought this one was a little bit easier. I kind of used some resources. Talked to a few different teachers at school on how they would approach it and what it was I could do to kind of include specific information in which you would have been looking for. And I think I did a much better job on that whole lesson plan, just, going through stating exactly what it was that I was doing, the objectives, the student objective, the purpose, the content, listing the SOLs, the procedures, the development, and the summaries. I think this one was, this assignment went much better. Looking at both of them side by side, I feel like, I think elementary is harder in general just because you're dealing with smaller or younger kids. But I feel like just if I was to put both lesson or unit plans side by side, I feel as though the secondary plan that I put together was much better. Going in, listing the warm up, cool down activities that I had put in place, the collaboration with the gen ed teachers on that, I think that went well. Again, I had some gen ed teachers that I worked with that did a great job in assisting me, being that I'm a young teacher early in my career. They did a very good job in helping me as far as putting forth math objectives, for those students with disabilities and putting forth and helping me, come up with ideas that would be most beneficial to those students. Let me see, let's go. I'm just scrolling through in the background. I think I did a very good job listing the content objectives, the procedures that was used, the development, my resources, accommodations. Again, and that kind of goes back to, what I talked about in the elementary plan, the cooperative learning. I think that, I'm a big fan of small group instruction, a lot of one-on-one instruction. I'm a big fan of that. I think that, a lot of the kids and a lot of students, especially the ones I work with, that's a struggle for them, being able to focus, being in class, being in that big environment. So being able to either pull them to the side or have specific seating arrangements for them in the back where it's, 3 or 4 students where they're able to get that small group one-on-one instruction. I think that's very beneficial, but at the same time incorporating specific UDL strategies so that it gives each student the best chance to succeed. And I think I did a much better job kind of explaining that portion in the secondary unit plan. Let's see. How are you doing? Hope all is well with you. So let's see. Let's move forward. Let's go into the CVM reflection and self-reflection in the secondary unit. More so for the secondary plan, I focused on the universal design for learning, which is the educational and instructional method that I've kind of been working on for the last 2 years. That was one of the very first assignments that I had in the code program was, creating a PowerPoint that pertained to the UDL and universal design for learning. Obviously, it can help all the students become successful learners in and out of the classroom. I think it differentiates in ways in which students can show what they know. And I think that's the whole, our whole plan in which, as educators, what we need to do. We want to put students in the position to be able to showcase what it is they've learned and what it is they know. And I think the universal design for learning does that. Like I said, the teachers I work with in the Math 7 course that I was in for the secondary plan, they did an excellent job. And we all, collaborated and came together and put forth plans. And I think we all did an excellent job in, using those UEL strategies for every kid in the class, especially the kids that had specific learning issues or attention issues. I focused more here on the theories of Joni Degner, universal design for learning researcher. She mentioned that by putting forth specific UDL practice in the classroom, we will create a culture of connection. And I thought that was interesting because I think, again, like I mentioned before, in any classroom, you want everybody to be engaged. You want all students to feel as though they can contribute. You want all students to not feel left out. You want everybody to feel included. And that's kind of what brings forth that notion of that inclusive environment. And I think, again, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to create that culture of connection. And I think we did a good job with that. I think a few of the students kind of started off a little rough, but overall, I think they kind of got the big picture of what it was we were trying to do. Like I said, I was able to assist the teachers with developing that system that demonstrated those characteristics. And more so it was, I kind of placed my basis on inclusion and just, being able to be helpful to each student in the class so that they're not left behind. So, most of the students I work with, they usually suffer specifically from SLD, specific learning issues or disabilities, and primarily attention issues. My field, I focus primarily on students that have those attention issues, so I kind of have a good handle on how to, put those students in the best position to win, in the class, whether that's, giving them break times, specific break times, again, specific seating, that one-on-one instruction or certain other aspects. But again, that's kind of just the main gist that I wanted to go over. I wanted to try something different. I know you put up the example of PowerPoint, but I was going, this was a YouTube video. I've been learning how to, create different YouTube videos through PDs at school. So I just wanted to try this knowing that I had the time and not a lot of distractions. So hopefully this is, what you're looking for. Like I said, the class overall, I was very, pleased. You've been a great professor as far as providing that feedback, being there for the students if they need you, through videos and Zoom and things of that nature. But overall, I thought it was a great class. I think it's going to be very helpful for me moving forward as an educator. I'm excited to see what the future brings for me. I do teach at the secondary level. Like I said, I'm 6th, 7th, and 8th grade special education, ED resource. So again, hopefully, like I said, I think this will help me practicing, cooperative learning and UDL practices. I think moving forward, that'll definitely help me in the whole spectrum of things when it comes to putting, our students in a position to be successful educationally and socially. So I think, those two go hand in hand. I think, building that confidence in these students and helping them build their own confidence will help them, not only in the classroom, but if they're doing well in the classroom, then I think that kind of carries over socially and vice versa. So again, just want to say thank you, and I appreciate everything you've done this semester. I am planning on moving forward. I have 3 classes left for my master's degree, so maybe it's a possibility I run into you again. But again, thank you. The course was great. I enjoyed it. I felt like I learned a lot. Learned a lot of new things that I can, use moving forward. So again, I want to say thank you, and I appreciate it, and have a good rest of the day, and enjoy your summer. All righty.